All right, last section of Unit 4. We're looking at Objective 4.4, Modeling Real-Life Situations. So the first thing we need to do is we need to know what symbol goes with what phrase. So let's start in the vocabulary section. For each of the following phrases, write the symbol that it relates to. Is at least. It's actually kind of opposite of what you would think it would be. It's greater than or equal to. Same for is no less than. And then is no more than, and is at most are both less than or equal to. Is an equal sign. Is less than is a less than symbol. And then is greater than, which isn't pictured, is a greater than symbol. So example 1, you're training to run in your first marathon and you want to gradually increase the number of miles you run each week. Currently, you run 20 miles in a week. Your plan is to run 6 additional miles each week. For each of the following weeks, you run the following amounts. Write an equation that gives the total number of miles you run each week as a function of the number of weeks you have been running since you started increasing the number of miles you run each week. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we are starting with 20 miles and we're adding 6 miles per week. So we're going to have X represent the number of weeks here. And we want to since it asks us to write this as a function of the number of miles, what that means is that we are going to do f of x equals 20 plus 6x. And so f of x is going to represent the total number of miles, and that equals the 20 we already run plus 6 times the number of weeks. Our slope of this situation would be the number with x, so it's going to be 6. Find the total number of miles you are running each week after 8 weeks of increasing the number of miles you run each week. So we're going to plug 8 into our function. So f of 8 means 20 plus 6 times 8. So 20 plus 48, which means in 1 week you're going to be running 68 miles. All right, let's take a look at the second example. A man burns 25 calories per minute on the elliptical and 12.5 calories per minute in line skating. His goal is to burn approximately 750 calories daily. Write an equation to represent this situation where X is the number of minutes spent on the elliptical and Y is the number of minutes in line skating. Okay, so first we need to identify what our X and our Y are going to be, and it tells us here, so let's underline that. X is the number of minutes spent on the elliptical, Y is the number of minutes of inline skating, and we're looking at burning 750 calories a day. And so we are going to take our X, our number of minutes, and multiply it by the number of calories being burned. So on the elliptical, we're burning 25 calories per minute, so that means 25 times X. So if you spent 3 minutes on the elliptical, you would burn 75 calories. If you spent 10 minutes, you'd spend 250. We just multiply 25 times the number of minutes. Plus our number of minutes spent on the inline skating, and that's 12.5 calories per minute. So plus 12.5 times number of minutes inline skating. And our goal is 750, so equals 750. So it says find the intercepts of the graphs of the equation and graph the equation. So to find the intercepts, remember, to find the x-intercept, we're going to let y be 0. And so we're going to replace the y. Sorry, I'm having a hard time writing on this. Let me try zooming in. We're going to replace the y with a 0. We want that to equal 750. So what that does is it cancels out that y term, and we are left with 25x equals 750. And we're going to solve for x, dividing by 25. So we're going to get x equals 30. So if we only spent time on the elliptical, we would have to spend 30 minutes on the elliptical to burn the 750. Okay, so now let's take a look at finding the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, we're going to let x be 0. and we're going to solve for y. And so that cancels out the x-intercept, or the x term, and so we have 12.5y equals 750. Divide both sides by 12.5. So y equals 60. So if we only inline skate, we're going to have to spend 60 minutes inline skating. Okay, so now let's go ahead and graph that. So we're going to put, on the x-axis, we're going to put a point at 30, and on the y, we're going to put a point at 60, and we're going to connect. And any points along that line represent where we would meet our goal. So if the man spends 25 minutes on the elliptical, and how many minutes would he need to spend inline skating to reach the 750 calories? So we go to 25, and we're looking at this point right here. So it looks like he needs to spend about less than 10 minutes inline skating. But let's use our equation to really solve that. So 25 minutes on the elliptical means we're plugging in 25 for x. So then we're going to go ahead and multiply 25 times 25. Get 625. And then subtract that 625 from both sides. So we have 12.5 equals 125. And we're going to divide the 125 by 12.5. Oh, I forgot my y there, sorry. And we end up with y equals 10, which is exactly what we estimated based on our graph. So if you spend 25 minutes on the elliptical, you'd have to spend 10 minutes inline skating.